Hi, everyone. This is Karin Campbell, Joslyn Art Museum's Phil Wilson Curator of Contemporary Art, and I'm going to be speaking today about a recent addition to Joslyn's collection, Rashid Johnson's Untitled Microphone Sculpture from 2018. Rashid Johnson is one of the leading figures of a generation of young African-American cultural producers who emerged in the early 2000s, and at that time were dubbed, quote, post-Black. Now, this is a designation that many of them, including Johnson, have since rejected. And whether or not we have an appropriate umbrella term for these artists, there certainly is a common thread that ties them together, which is that their work makes the case that Blackness encompasses a range of realities in 21st century America. So Johnson works across media to engage materials, objects, and processes that have both personal and shared cultural significance. So for this 2018 wall-based sculpture, Johnson brings together some of his favorite materials, including books, and this is a recurring element in his work that we'll return to in just a moment, as well as shea butter, wax, and black soap, which is a West African cleanser that receives its distinct color from the ashes of burned plants. This work also features an unassuming material, builder's grade white subway tile. So I'd been looking at this sculpture for months when I read a new interview with Johnson, I believe it was last fall, in which he revealed the origin of the white tile, and it kind of blew my mind. So around the time that he was finishing his master's degree at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, a friend said, "Hey, I'm going to this Turkish-style bathhouse. I think you should join me." And Johnson said, no, that's not really my scene. I don't think I'll fit in there, but, thanks anyway. So the friend ended up convincing Johnson to join him at this bathhouse. So Johnson goes into the steam room for the first time, and who's sitting there but Jesse Jackson? And they ended up having this really wonderful conversation. And Johnson ended up going back to the bathhouse numerous times. And then this white subway tile started to creep into his work, and he realized it was sort of an extension of all the time he had spent having really fascinating intellectual conversations with all of these important figures from throughout Chicago. So Untitled Microphone Sculpture demonstrates how Johnson expands upon two art historical traditions in his work, painting and collage. I think it resembles a Robert Rauschenberg-style assemblage with these irregularly shaped bronze-framed panels that are pieced together like a puzzle. And then in terms of painting, the influence of gestural abstraction on Johnson's expressive mark-making is especially prominent here. So on the bottom right, we can actually see the artist's hands and fingers imprinted in the yellow and white shea butter. And then, of course, there's this oozing black wax, which we can see as a vestige of Jackson Pollock's iconic drip painting technique. On the left side of the composition, we see kind of a peculiar character. Johnson calls this wide-eyed figure a member of the, quote, anxious audience, and it's a recurring image in his work. It first appeared in 2015 in response to increasing social injustices and violence against Black bodies in the United States. So calling out injustice is central to Untitled Microphone Sculpture, which is part of a larger series that considers the power of the amplified voice in a robust democracy. So all of the works in this series share two components, and the first is a stack of books. Johnson often seeks inspiration from writers who've explored the multitude of Black American experiences. These writers include the novelist and essayist James Baldwin, whose work addressing race relations in the 20th century in America is widely revered. Another sculpture from this series features the most compelling and beautifully written book I've read in years called The Sellout, written by Paul Beatty, who was the first Black man to win the prestigious literature award, the Man Booker Prize. For Joslyn's Untitled Microphone Sculpture, Johnson turned to contemporary poet Claudia Rankine's book, published in 2014, that's titled Citizen, an American Lyric. Citizen is a mix of poetry and criticism, and it addresses a wide range of topics, including Hurricane Katrina, police shootings of unarmed Black men, and anecdotes about racially driven discrimination and microaggressions. The other element that the microphone sculptures share is, as the title suggests, a microphone. Hidden directly behind the bronze grate at the center of this work is a functioning microphone that's connected to a speaker that sits on the floor below the sculpture. Johnson encourages viewers to approach the work and to actually talk to it, which allows their words to be projected into the gallery space. Now, I realize that talking about this work, which is completed by the viewers interacting with it, might seem kind of odd or even unfulfilling because we aren't able right now to physically address the work. But I also think that this concept of standing up for your fellow citizens feels especially poignant given the need for society to work collectively at the moment to pursue a common good. Thank you for listening today. I encourage you to continue checking Joslyn's social pages as we've got more virtual gallery talks and other content coming up soon.